proposal or an initiative where people can say, this is what I want to have on the bill and this is what I want to have voted on. There's no in between. You don't have to have the pre-existing law that you edit. This is something on your own you can propose. What might be a positive aspect of having citizens decide what they want to have on a ballot? What's the positive of having a citizen decide a new law? Yeah, Delaney.
They kind of know more what's going on the base level of where they live and what could affect them more positively.
Yeah, so they're right there in their community. They have experience, maybe something that's going on. They say, I know a lot of other people would benefit from whatever it may be. I think we should all vote on this. Yeah, so they might just know themselves and their community a little bit better. What might be a negative though? Because I'm saying with an initiative, anybody can propose a new idea, a new regulation, new ordinance. What's a negative? Yeah.
Not everyone's completely educated when they vote, so not everyone will agree.
Exactly. So maybe you don't have all of the knowledge that a legislator does. You might think you know your community really well, but maybe it's just your neighborhood and just the people around you that all agree on that idea. Maybe you don't have all of the information. Or maybe, and this is something we see a lot and definitely in past kind of experiences, that people with maybe louder or stronger voices are heard over those who aren't, and then they get their initiative on a ballot, and it's not going to benefit everybody. Or maybe, what about the idea of having, you know, LGBT rights in Iowa? Maybe 10 years ago, people would have all disagreed that, okay, I don't think we should have that, so that wouldn't be put on the initiative and voted against. But now we have people saying, all right, we have this possibility of people may agree on this, legislators may not. Let's put this on a ballot and decide. So this is just a little bit of a breakdown from how it goes from the state level to how it's affecting us here in Iowa City. That's all I've got for notes for you guys, but I want you to look down at the kind of chart right underneath all those definitions. Your responsibility is to take these yellow sheets in front of you, which are all true, real ordinances here in Iowa City. It's your handy neighborhood guide to laws and ordinances in our community. They're organized by category. Some will be about maybe shoveling snow on time. Some will be maybe about making sure your dog poop is picked up. You know, a little bit of stuff. Some might be about a bicycle, regulating bicycles in Iowa City. But your job is to go through, and on the left column here, I'll switch to the doc cam so you can see with me. All right. So you're going to pick 3 that you like off the bat from this handy guide. You're going to say which ordinance you're referring to and give a little bit of description. If you're talking about snow, please don't write snow. Give a little bit of detail about how you have to shovel your snow by this time or else this happens to you. It can just be a bullet point for that one. But then when you get to this next column, this is where you really need to think for yourselves and say, okay, well, what's the purpose? Maybe consider the community's values. Maybe consider who's going to be affected by it. Who's the stakeholder in the situation, and why was there a need to put an ordinance for that reason in the first place? Then lastly, your opinion. Do you agree with this or not? Is it something that's of value to you? Does it even affect you? What about your parents or maybe your house? Something along those lines. I really want to know that you understand what's going on in our town and if it's of any importance to you and how so. Okay, so that's going to be part 1. Part 2 is when you flip over to page 20. Alright, so it's going to be the same thing, but instead you're going to come up here, grab an iPad, and you're going to Google City Passes Ordinance. And I'll show you in a second how you should Google it, because then you're going to weed out some of the stuff you don't want to read about. But it's the same thing. I want you to show, or write, what city you found it in. What's the ordinance? Give me a quick bullet point of, what's going on in it. What are the rules, regulations? And then same thing. Provide what is that explanation? What's the rationale behind it? And then, do you agree or disagree? Is this something of value to you? We were discussing one kind of really wild ordinance that was passed in Ohio that quite possibly could go against a lot of values women would hold in regard to marital rape. So something as severe as that. It doesn't always have to be something light about bicycles or dog food. You can have serious ordinances as well. But consider, do you agree with this or not? Is this something that if it was to be enacted here in Iowa City, people would be happy about? Do you think this would fly for our community? Really consider if it's something that you would hold valuable to you or your family. Because this last part, the reason you're building up to all of this, it's kind of a DIY ordinance. I want you to think of something you wish would happen here in Iowa City. So an example that we talked about in last class was in previous experiences, a woman really hated when dogs licked her face, and she thought it was gross when dogs licked other people's faces. And therefore, there should be an ordinance that says if your dog does that, you should be fined. So when you're thinking of something here, I want you to think of, yeah, I know, a little weird. I want you to think of something that applies to you or something you hope to see change here in Iowa City. And it can be silly, but I want you to actually think about it in terms of localized ideas. Don't think, I don't know, something like, I think other people in Coralville shouldn't have to drive their car to work, they should have to walk. Think about here in Iowa City. And please don't say, I think marijuana should be legal in Iowa City. Be a little bit more creative, please. Anything else is fine. Aside from that, that is all of your responsibilities for today in terms of worksheet. I will switch this over to green, so if you want to listen to music while you do this, you can. But I believe this will be due tomorrow or Friday. Maybe the end of the week? Yeah, end of the week. Okay, if you have questions, by all means let me know. I'd be happy to help. Otherwise, you're free to complete this.
Can we work with other people?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.